This conference will now be recorded.
Well, first off, Joey, thank you so much, man, for jumping on the podcast.
Yeah, really excited to be here. I told you in the email that it was an honor. I'm a day one listener, so excited to contribute.
Well, appreciated. And I love the idea that a lot of the people that are on the ground and really doing the day in day out work are some people that we want to make sure we continue to do, and you're certainly doing that at an incredibly high level. So thrilled to have you here. And so you can give the people who are listening a little bit of a background. How did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, great question. In high school is when I had to start thinking about my future, much like everybody else. So for me, it was working pro sports or playing the NBA. And unfortunately, I'm 5'9" with a below average jump shot. So I had to find a way into the business side of sports. And so I went to Tennessee Tech in Cookeville. Between sophomore and junior years there, I started doing internships and getting pretty serious about, my career. After several internships, I still wasn't where I needed to be professionally. I knew that. So I came to Nashville and went and got my master's degree at Belmont for sports admin. And that allowed me to do a couple things. 2 more years of internship experience here in Nashville, which is great. And then the most important thing I think I got from that was an assignment my first year. We had to go out and meet 20 business professionals in sports. So good old networking. We had to go shake their hands, talk to them, ask them questions. And it's crazy who will help you if you just ask, and you have to be genuine about it. You have to really want to learn and passionate, but they will help you. The president of the Predators bought me lunch. He answered some really good questions for me. And then, I wanted to get in at the Titans. So we didn't have a connection over here, but I found the format, at titans.nfl.com. And I just kind of put it together and I guess an email address. And that guy forwarded the email to my current boss, Josh, and we met. He was one of those guys that would do anything for you. So he met with me, gave me some advice. 6 months later, a position came open. And after 5 unpaid internships in sports, I finally got my first paid job with the Titans.
I love that story, first off, and I love your professors making you do that cold reach out, because a lot of ways that really is one of the toughest sales, whether you're selling tickets or you're selling yourself for a job, is that idea of really selling yourself. So what were some of those things that you learned from doing those cold reach outs, that made you more confident that you could be a great salesperson? Or what were some of those things about those cold reach outs that you learned that you took into your sales career early on?
Yeah, I mean, first, and everybody will tell you this, relationships are key, not just in sales, but if you want a job somewhere, it's all about, who you know and who knows you, getting your foot in the door, and they have to think a lot of you. So it was really important for me when I went to those meetings that I was polished, I was dressed right, I had my resume looking good. I even went to, I think, Staples and had some business cards made that I could pass out to these people afterwards. They were really cheap looking, but I thought it was a good start, and I wanted these people to remember me after it was over. So one of the guys told me, "Hey, Joey, there's 100 people applying for every sales position at least. You need to go above and beyond. I want handwritten notes. I want you to mail your resume to the CEO, the HR manager, the hiring manager, get it in front of everybody until, they tell you yes or no." So that's just really important, and that's what I took away.
That's awesome. And, can you talk a little bit about what that process was like for you? Because, you talk to a lot of young salespeople, and we certainly have some people listening that haven't gotten their foot in the door in sports yet. And so can you talk about, even though you've been with the Titans for your whole sales career, can you talk about what getting your foot in the door with a lot of those other people has just helped you from an overall standpoint?
Yeah, no doubt. And I think, I meet with, college kids. I have a good relationship with the Belmont program still, and they're always asking, like, how to do it. And it's tough. I'm not going to lie. I had some luck on my side. But at the same time, I was pretty adamant about doing it, and I wasn't going to let anything get in the way. So I try to go above and beyond, again, with professionalism, being polished as much as possible. And I was very flexible. Like, these people are busy, so I'm willing to do whatever it takes to meet them. If I need to take a day off work, or if I needed to stay up late for a phone call or go meet these people, I would do it. And I would just say to anybody that really wants to work in sports out there, is just like, you're going to be told no several times before you get a yes. That's just the nature of the business. But I promise you that if you wait until you get that yes, it's worth it.
Yeah. And then, you learning that early on in your career, I think is just a really good entryway into sales, because, like you just said, that mentality of, you're going to get beat down quite a bit, but not being afraid to get beat down because, you understand that the yes at the end of it is way more exciting than the no, than how disappointing the no's are along the way, right?
Yeah, so spot on. I mean, that's that was one of the biggest things that I had trouble with when I first got into sales, is handling the no's and just not taking it personally, because I'd go home at the end of the day sad about, man, what did I do wrong? What, why did this person not like me? But it had nothing to do with any of that. It's just part of sales. You're going to hear no, but man, that yes sure does feel good when it comes.
Yeah, and I think that's I always have trouble with the expression "don't get too high with the highs or low with the lows," because while I agree don't get too low with the lows, I mean, man, if you don't get at least a little high off the sales, what are we doing in this industry?
Yeah, no doubt. And I've got some good people in my corner that have kept me pretty even kill. And I would say what you just said, don't get too low, but you don't get too high. And that'll keep you going for sure.
Sure. So you talked about having some good people in your corner, and there's no doubt that you have. And so as you think, along the way, whether they're some leaders or mentors or people that you've sold alongside, who are some of those people that along the way have helped build you up, or people that you've said, yeah, that's how I want to act, that's how I want to carry myself. And what was it about them specifically that stood out to you in that way?
Yeah, I definitely would be where I am in my life without, mentors and leaders and friends and family. So I could go on forever on this one, but just a couple of the most important ones. Obviously, my current boss, Josh. Josh,
Mm-hmm.
great guy. And what I've taken from him is, when I started with the Titans, I was so raw. I had nothing. But now he's molded me into a good salesman. My work ethic, my standards, my organization, my attention to detail, all that comes from, watching him on a day in and day out basis. So definitely appreciate that. And even further there, Josh is a good father and a good husband. That's something I aspire to be one day too. So having that mentor in all aspects of life is just awesome. So I really appreciate Josh. And then another guy here at the Titans, Jim Rice. He's been here a couple of years now. He's kind of my guy that I can go to and just bounce ideas off of, which I think is really important for a young rep. You need to be told no when you're wrong and when you're off on something, and then it's also fun to be lifted up when you hit the mark on a good idea. Another guy, Mike McClendon, down at the Atlanta Hawks. He started with the Titans, man, several years ago, but we've kept in touch over the years, and I'd say not 3 weeks goes by that we don't send each other a best sales practices article, or something new in the sports industry. So definitely appreciate Mike and what he's done for me. And then from a distance, guys like yourself and Bob Hamer. I mean, it's great to see somebody that's laid a foundation out there and given us a path for young reps like myself to follow. So from a distance, definitely, two guys like yourself. And then last but not least, Brett, family. I know family is important to you too. Couldn't do this without, family in my corner, my wife being supportive of the hours. So, just the patience, the understanding of all these people has been really crucial for me.
Yeah, there's no doubt there, and especially that last one. We'll talk more about that when we talk about some of the work-life balance stuff for sure. But I agree with everything that you said, and I've obviously got a chance to know Josh and Jim a little bit over the last the last few months, and one of the things that has always impressed me about the two of them, and what was impressive about being able to work with you guys, was just how thirsty for knowledge the group is there. So can you talk about how from leadership on down that that thirst for knowledge helps drive success within an organization?
Yeah, I love that about this office. It's nobody here knows everything, and they know that, which is awesome. Like, they know that there are ideas out there, there are concepts out there that we are not 100% on yet, and they're willing to adjust and work and hit those. And I can't tell you how many times Josh has come in and put a book on my desk and said, "Hey, let's read this," or something like that, and that's just awesome. I just really love growing, and I think it's even better that I have people ahead of me and above me that are willing to grow with me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you touched on an important part here. I believe humility is a huge part in becoming a good salesperson, and understanding that you don't know it all, and the humility to put clients and customers in front of your product. Can you talk a little bit about how the humility that I've seen from you and in your organization has helped you as a salesperson?
Yeah. So at our team, man, I know we're a sales office, but we are very much a team here at the Titans. So I'm going to do anything I can to help the guy next to me get a sale, just as much as I'm going to help myself get a sale. And when he rings that bell, our sales bell, and gets a sale, like I'm going to be just as happy for him, because that's what it's all about. And it's kind of, what have you done for me lately? It's like if I haven't had a sale in a while, I got to get on it. People, yeah, maybe I did have a good year last year, but that means nothing in 2018. So I got to prove myself all over again. And that's what helps keep me humble, and chasing those goals.
Yeah, and I think I think to that, you've worked for I was combining the Titans records with the years that you were working there, and I mean, man, you've kind of seen it all from like disappointment to a glimmer of like to almost like embarrassing to a glimmer of hope to real hope to a little disappointing. Like you've really seen it all, and one of the things that when I talk to Josh and I talk to Jim, one of the things I always talk about you is your consistency. So, how do you battle those ups and downs that occur with the team and still find consistency as a salesperson?
Yeah, I'm still waiting on that Super Bowl season. But man, as far as consistency goes, I was told a long time ago, I think high school basketball, my coach told me only worry about the things you can control. So I can't control how well Marcus plays on Sunday. I can't control wins and losses, but I can control what time I show up to work. I can control what I do at work. I can control when I leave, effort, attitude, all those things. So I'm not really worried about wins and losses. The fan side of me is I want to win it all because I'm a longtime Titans fan. But the salesman, I'm going to sell, no excuses. That's what they're paying me to do. So wins or losses, that's what my job is.
So, unfortunately, you talk to a lot of team presidents or you talk to a lot of head of sales, and they'll tell you that, no, wins and losses are the most important thing. How the team's doing is the most important thing. So, put you on the spot here a little bit. If wins and losses aren't the most important thing, then what is the most important thing when it comes to selling tickets?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Wins and losses definitely important. I think customer service is above that. If you're treating your fans well as an organization, they're going to want to come and hang out. People love to be entertained, and if you're putting a good product out there, as well as customer service from not only your sales guys but the people at the doors that are welcoming you in the stadium, I think that plays into it for sure.
So, obviously you're a top performing salesperson. So I know, with your humility, this may be a tough question to answer, but, knowing that you sit on top of the sales board and that you have a lot of success pretty consistently, what is it about your customer service that you believe separates yourself from some of the other people on the sales board?
Oh man. First I work with some really good guys with the Titans, so they all do a great job in this area. I would say that I always try and sell like I'm selling to my mom. I know that sounds funny, but I want to be the salesman that you can trust, with your mom, your grandmother, because it's a big deal. I mean, these people are spending a lot of money, and there's several options in Nashville that they could choose from: concerts, the Predators, Nashville Sounds. So I just want to be somebody that they can trust and whose opinion they value.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think you're touching on something that I think is really important. I think sales reps either say that, I'm a transactional salesperson or I'm a relationship salesperson, and those two things can't combine. Do you believe that, you can make a lot of phone calls today, but still treat each client like they're your mom? Do you think those things have to be mutually exclusive, or can they work together?
No, I think you can do it. And don't get me wrong, it's hard because you're trying to hit a lot of people every day. We all have numbers that we got to reach out to a certain number of people on a daily basis, but you can still be respectful, trustworthy when you're pitching these people. I don't think, here at the Titans, integrity is a big deal. So I really appreciate that. And just, again, the whole mom thing, like I just want these people to know that, like, I'm not a used car salesman, for lack of a better term, Yeah.
So how do you demonstrate that to them? How do you get them to believe that you're not in it just to sell tickets? How do they buy into Joey as a salesperson?
Yeah, well, I'm genuine first. Like I shoot them straight. I offer my opinion, handwritten notes. Also, one thing that I've done, and this probably goes against everything that sales trainers would teach you, is if I'm pitching somebody seats, we've gotten to that point, I actually offer a price point lower than what they ask as well. I know that's backwards. A lot of people, start at the most expensive seats, but I just want to show them that hey, your money is not the most important thing here. You getting the right seats is most important to me.
That I I couldn't agree with that. I couldn't agree with that statement more. And so, why do you think the customer values that so much?
They just don't. They don't want us as reps to just look at them as dollar signs. They want to be treated as people. I mean, these are long-term investments if we're doing things the right way. A lot of money, so they just want to be treated right. And if they had it their way, I mean, you know this, Brett, they'd just go online and buy all day, probably because they're scared of the sales rep nowadays, shooting
Yes.
them, pitching them the wrong thing or trying to upsell them, which is totally understandable. But I don't want to be that guy. I want to be easier than the online process. You preach that all the time, and I want to offer them more value by offering them like my expertise and just shoot them straight.
Yeah, and I think there's real value in being intentional and being straightforward with people that I think we spend a lot of times in sports, almost trying to trick someone into something like, we do with, an email that we get that's trying to sell us a new health plan or something like that. So can you
Yep.
talk to us about what the value for you has been? Because, I think that's something that I've appreciated about working with you is, how direct your approach is and everything that you can do. But so how is being direct helpful as a salesperson, and why do people appreciate it so much?
Yeah, I think in today's world, everybody's so busy. So they don't want to be, ran around the block. They just want you to give them the facts, paint the picture of why this is great for them and their family or their customers, and then offer them an option or two, or maybe even three. People don't have time for the other stuff. So I just try and go straight for it and be respectful of their time, and at the same time, be respectful of my time. I've got a lot of people to talk to, and I want to make a lot of sales, so I just try and get straight to it. And at the same time, I don't go overboard because I want to build a relationship with them. So I'm never cutting them
Yeah.
short or one wording them, but I'm always, straight to the point.
And one of the big challenges that we have in sports, and I think that's what you're talking about is really good, but sometimes in sports we find people that are so adamant that individual game tickets are the right way to go for them because it achieves maximum flexibility for them. And how do you approach that person? How do you talk to that person? And how do you get them to move off that point that one game is enough or that flexibility is enough, while also not being like, dude, you're wrong. Like, you're wrong and you're spending too much money. Like, come to the light side. Like, how do you do it without making them feel put out there?
Yeah, and that's tough. It's hard to find that balance of giving it to them easy. So I just try and like paint the picture. And if I see that they paid this much money, for game one, but I can offer them tickets for half that, I'm going to let them know that. And I want them to see the savings on their wallet at the end of the year and how that adds up over 10 games. And then on top of that, I'm going to paint a picture of all those memories they're going to have at all those games, how, good it feels to have your own seats every single game. You don't have to worry about where you're sitting, where the tickets are coming from, how much you're paying. And then on top of that, the exclusive events we have year round, player meet and greets, all that good stuff that, single game buyers don't have access to, won't have access to unless you decide to join us.
Yeah, and so I know we talked a little bit about consistency up front, but there's certainly a different, in terms of consistency when the season's you're about to run up to the season, or the consistency that happens during the off season. And no bones about it, the off season in professional football is long. How do you maintain consistency during those long off season months where football isn't necessarily in the in right directly in view?
Yeah. So the older and the longer I go in sales, I always have a plan. So when November's getting here, December's getting here, I have a plan for the next year, and I know on a month by month basis what type of lead or message I want to send out to people. So that's one thing. And the sales process may take a little bit longer in the off season just because football's not top of mind, it's not in the news. But it's moving day for salespeople. It's Saturday on the golf course. You need to make your mark. And if you want to hit your sales goal at the end of the year, the off season is the time to do it, especially as a season ticket guy, because, once the season starts and 2 or 3 of the games have already passed, it's hard to sell that product when some of it's already happened.
Yeah. Well, it's also really hard to sell more than your peers during those months, right? Like the easier time, to your point, the easier time to make a move is during the off season when some people aren't selling at all, and even some of the best salespeople are struggling a little bit. And so when you see, but all of a sudden when you're running into the season, there's literally only so many people that each person can sell. That those months of differentiation, those occur in the off season. They don't necessarily occur during the season, which I think is a tremendous point by you. I love calling it moving day, like Saturday in golf. I think that's a great analogy. You talked about having a plan, and I think that's so critical because one of the things I write about on my site a lot is reps don't necessarily have a plan. They're not necessarily tracking to their plan. They're not really thinking about a plan. A lot of times they'll walk in the office and go, I wonder what I'll do today. Can you, especially in the off season, can you talk about what the value is in having a plan, having a value in knowing what you're responsible for, having value in knowing what your message is and who you need to be delivering it to? How does that give you an advantage?
It's huge. I mean, my first season here, I didn't have that because I didn't know any better. But every year I'm here, I'm learning and I'm getting, my process down. But like year 5 to year 1 is totally different because I have that plan. And that plan changes on a daily basis. Like there's something I want to change up, I'll do it. I'll tinker with it and see if it works. But you got to have it. Everybody's got to have it. You got to know where you're trying to get to. And that plan helps me stay on track. Other reps have their own way, which is great. But during the off season, if I'm sticking to my plan, there's no excuse. Like I should hit my goal at the end of the year.
Without giving up, your secret sauce on what your plan is, can you give a little insight into what does that plan look like, and maybe not so much what your plan looks like specifically, but what are some things that you think a rep should think about when devising their own plan?
Yeah, I mean, so some of my bigger months and selling times are around big news events. So in the off season, what's big? Well, the schedule release, the NFL draft, training camp, all these things are huge, and people get really excited about those things. So I want to take advantage of that. When Joey's at home or Brett's at home watching the news and they see that the Titans are hosting the Patriots this year, I want to be the one in their ear, or I want to be the one that they know they can come to and get tickets.
Yep. And when you drive people towards those bigger events, you also find people that fall off the fence before that, right? Why would someone, if you're driving them toward an event, which I think is so smart and so thoughtful, sometimes people will fall off before that. And right before we jumped on, we were talking a little bit about urgency. But can you talk about how the urgency to drive someone to an event will actually result in sales that come before the event?
Yeah, no, it's actually really funny that you asked that because with the Titans, we do this VIP training camp area where we can invite prospects out to watch practice. And then we do one at the stadium where it's a private practice, and they get our prospects get to watch the practice in the press box. And then before that, we'll go down and high five the guys as they go to the field. Well, I invited somebody that went quiet on me. He had some serious interest in some really good seats, and he just went quiet. Not sure why. I couldn't get a hold of him to find out. Sent the invite to him, and he bought before he even came to the event. He just got reinvigorated. The enthusiasm was there again, and he was excited. He didn't want to miss out. So I just think that's really important. Is keep those people on your list, and when you have a special event like that, shoot it to them.
So you went through my training a little while ago. You know how big a believer I am that spending time on ghost accounts is a lot of times wasted time. You're talking about reinvigorating one. So tell me I'm not a hypocrite when I say that you can still follow up with people, but you don't have to spend the bulk of your time on it. And if you do it the right way, there's still sales to be made there, right?
You're spot on. I have every lead that was ever given to me at the Titans since my first day here. Now, that doesn't mean I'm actively pitching them or I'm spending the majority of my day calling them and writing them notes or mailing them gifts. But I do keep them around. Unless they give me just a flat out super firm no, I don't remove them from my desk or my office area. I want to keep them for a rainy day or an event day like that, and I just invite them out and get them excited, or at least see if that's still there.
Yeah, and because they don't stop being fans, right? Like that's
exactly.
At the end of the day, that's one of the advantages that we have to selling insurance, right? Like if they choose another insurance agency than us, then however the length of that contract, then that's how long we've really got to wait to have a real shot at bringing them back. But a fan can change their mind about being a season ticket holder any minute of every day. So how do you stay in touch with people that you've been selling to with day one without spending that gigantic amount of time on it?
Yeah, and I'll say this, what you just said is so true. I mean, you don't know what's going on in somebody else's life. Maybe they just got married and they can't buy this year, but they can next year. Maybe their kid's in college, but they just graduated, so now all of a sudden they can buy. You have no idea. So keeping those people on your list, at least for the future, is important. And then to your other question there, it's tough. Like I'm not spending my day calling these people nonstop, but I'll shoot them a note every few months and just touch base and see what's going on. Let them know what's going on with the organization and why they should be excited, and telling them that the lines of communication are open. They can call me, they can text me, they can email me. If they want to come down to the stadium, I'll do that too. Whatever it takes, I'm here for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. And those small touches and being inconsistently consistent with the way that you reach out to them, being thoughtful about the way that you go back to them. All those things don't take up a lot of time. Like calling them every day takes up a lot of time, but reaching back out to them strategically, that's one of those things that you can do. It doesn't have to be an or, it's certainly an and. Like those people should be a part of that. So how do you use this gigantic book of no's to find yeses that you've got? So not necessarily no's, but this gigantic book of not nows. How do you know when to go back to them?
Yeah.
Are you just like one day where you're like, oh, Jim, I'm a Jim, or how do you do that?
Yeah. Well, first it starts with good note taking. If you take good notes and you're asking those really good questions, you're going to have information to go back with them. You can ask them how little Susie's doing, or hey, I saw that Luke graduated school. That's awesome. Do you want to consider tickets again? So note taking is really important there. And having something that reminds you to go back to that, whether that's a calendar invite. In Arctics, you can set reminders. I know some people out there have Arctics, but there's all kinds of tools you can use to remind you to hit these people on a routine, a loop. That way they don't get lost in the cracks. I'm also looking for, sorry, Brett, I'm looking for like small yeses first too. Like I'm not looking for a yes, I'll buy right away. I'm looking for a small yes, like, oh yeah, maybe I'd be interested in hearing again, or yeah, I'd be interested in coming down to the stadium, and then building up to that big, the buying yes.
I love that. So I want to touch on two things you just talked about. First, you touched on note taking, because I know that every rep, or let's call it 95% of reps, believe that CRM compliance is way more for their managers, directors, or vice presidents than it is for a rep. And I will always say it's 50-50. Of course, we want great note taking in our CRM system, whatever CRM system that we're using is. So when a rep moves on, we'll be able to make sure that we understand what the communication has been to these people in the past. But can you talk about what the value of CRM, you touched on it, but what is a big upside of CRM compliance for a sales rep?
Yeah, I mean, these reps need to know that if they plan on being with that team for more than 1 year, chances are they may come across that lead again on their own, whether they're trying to or not. It's going to be placed in front of them again, and so having a good book of notes there is important. But also not even just CRM. Like I have handwritten notes, I have some notes in Excel. All those are really important, and they range from all kinds of stuff, whether it's about family, their favorite team, what's the best time to reach out to this company because I know that they're planning for the future. All that's just really important, and it can shorten the sales process.
That's awesome. And the second one is you talk about getting small yeses, and I think I know that one of my favorite sales trainers, Lance Tyson, talks about that in his new book. But can you talk about the value of winning the small yes battle versus just a big yes no battle at the end of the sale?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's much easier because you're asking for something much smaller. So I'm not asking this guy to hand over $5,000 right away. I'm asking him to come out to practice, a free practice, where I'm going to show him a good time, feed him, let him watch in the air conditioning, his son's going to get the high five, Marcus as he's running out to practice. Like that's a pretty big deal. He should be excited about that. So getting a yes from that is easy. And then once he's in that mindset of like, man, I could be experiencing this on a yearly basis. My son could have this access all the time. Asking for that bigger yes gets much easier for me, the sales rep. But also that guy is way more open to hearing the pitch.
Because if they say no to something that small, the likelihood that they're going to buy is almost nothing, right?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, that's one of those people that you can definitely cross off, and maybe you'll hit them again a couple years later, a year later, a couple months later. But that's if somebody's saying no to something like that. Yeah, the interest may not be there ever.
Yeah. So it's essentially like a lead qualification tool that you're using to be able to say, listen, if I can't get them interested in something that small, the likelihood that they're going to buy isn't that great. But if I get them to say yes to this, if they're in that 50th percentile, man, I'm really moving the bar when they get there, because I know that there's no real way that they're going to come to an open practice and be less engaged with the organization, right?
Yeah, you're spot on. Absolutely.
That's awesome. So one of the things I think, that will come across is, sometimes we'll have huge, gregarious, gigantic personalities that jump on here, and you can understand why, people, get drawn into them and stuff like that. But that's not necessarily what your personality is. So, when it comes to driving urgency, how do you make sure that people understand if you're not the loudest? And I think we talked about this when I was there. Two of the best salespeople I had when I was with the indoor lacrosse team was the loudest person I've ever had and the quietest person I've ever had. So, if you think about that spectrum, I'd say that you fall more towards you're not quiet, but the quieter. So, how do you make sure that you use that as an advantage for you? Because I know one thing about you is just how genuine and authentic you are, and that, you wouldn't do it just to do it. You want to make sure what you do fits for you. So can you talk about how do you create a level of urgency or draw people in from a connection standpoint when, you aren't the one that's yelling the loudest?
Yeah, I think part of that, me being a little bit quieter, or reps that are like that, they might be good listeners, and that's what I try to be. And listening is a big deal. I mean, every trainer out there is going to tell you about listening and how important it is. So I definitely start with that. Listening's huge, and not just listening to hear them. I'm listening because I want to know what I can do to fix, or at least find a solution for the problem, or what they're looking for. So yeah, maybe a little bit more quiet, but I'm definitely listening. And then I want them to know that they're first. They don't need to hear me talk nonstop. Let's get them talking. Let's hear what they're thinking. I love when I have a seat showing here at the stadium. We're doing a tour, and I may talk 15% of the time, and they talk the 85% of the time. And it's about how big a fan they are. This play that won the game, and they get themselves excited. They're selling themselves, and that's something that you've also taught. Why not get them selling themselves? That's the best, sell is when that person's doing the selling for you. So that's kind of how I try and do it.
I think you make such an important point, right? Like the discipline, because in pro sports, we sell an exciting product. So it's really easy for us just to go nuts talking about how exciting our product is. And yet the discipline to not sell your team first, but to sell the client first is always one of those big differentiation points between, top reps and the reps who just throw up and show up, or spray and pray, and hope that whatever they're saying is connecting. So how did you, because I know that wasn't an overnight thing, how did you learn to get the discipline to make sure that the client sold first and you're not overselling the team first?
Yeah, well, a lot of it is trial and error. I think with any sales rep, the best learning experience you can do is just doing it, whether that's cold calling, appointments, emails, whatever it is, texting, just trying it. And you're going to learn so much by being rejected, told no. That's huge for me. Going on those appointments around the stadium, or showing somebody seats, man, my first couple, brutal. But I've gotten to a point where I'm so comfortable with it now that it kind of just does itself. I have a routine. The people know what we're doing, and it's just smooth.
That's awesome. And I think, man, there's a million takeaways for young reps out of this conversation. But I think, especially that point of, treating people like they're your mom, making sure the client's first, the discipline to be able to do that is so important, right? Because a lot of times we'll get through 2 or 3 questions. We don't feel like we're getting a response from the client. And all of a sudden we're just like, screw it, right? Like, yep. Here's everything that we have to offer. Here's everything exciting about the team. What do you got? And, in that moment, that's overwhelming for the person on the other end of the phone, right? Like,
Yep.
they may be watching TV at the beginning of that conversation with you, or they may be completely distracted by something else, thinking about work. And it's not that they don't want to engage, it's that either we're over engaging them with the team, or they're just a little distracted up front. It doesn't mean that there's not interest there.
Yeah, no, you're right. And we have to cater to these clients. So many young reps today, what they say is, oh, well, now's not a good time. Is it okay if I call you back tomorrow? And they're like, well, what about 6 o'clock tonight? Well, I'm actually out of the office by then. No, the answer is, okay, I'll call you back at 6 because I'm going to stay late because I want to earn your business. So we have to learn to be flexible and just do what these people need, to help them make a good decision.
So, I mean, you know this. I love the phrase "earn your business." It's one of my favorite ones. Can you talk about, just very quickly, what's the difference between earning your business and just complete, utter desperation?
Yeah, it's funny because we had a role play when you were here, and you gave us a pretty tough scenario, and you told me at the end of it, Joey, man, that sounded a little desperate. And so, like, even in year 5, you're still learning. I'm still learning not to be desperate. When we have a big a sales incentive or something like that, I don't want to hit these people too hard to run them off. Again, it always needs to be them first. They don't care about my sales number. They don't care about my commission. They care about what's best for them and their family. And I try and remember that, most.
And I'm super empathetic to that, because I remember, when I was at CEB and I was, competing with 500 or 600 other salespeople, on a pretty consistent basis. I wasn't one of the ones that was winning, a lot of the trips based on the sales contest. I think I won 1 or 2 my whole time that I was, doing that job over the year I was there. But I was the one that was putting up the same number every single month. And so, I was the one that found that consistency of keeping the client first, whether they're a business person and we're selling them recruiting materials, or, a father of 3 who just got divorced. No matter what, if you keep the client first, you're going to find consistency, because that's what people gravitate towards more than anything else.
Yeah, and I think you can, be urgent with them in a respectful way. For example, some seats came open this morning that were really good front row aisle seats in our 3rd level. I had a couple of different people that I thought might be interested in them, so I did shoot it out. I sent it to them, and I just asked what they thought. I wasn't saying, hey, you have to do this right now. I did say that these are first come, first serve. They're really good seats that don't come open very often. But, what do you think about these? These are close to what we were talking about. Here's what they look like, that kind of thing. Like, you can do it in a way where they know that you're looking out for them and not just trying to pump your sales numbers.
Man, I love how you phrased both of those. That was really terrific. When you think about, the difference between where you are now and where you were when you started, and I'm sure you've seen quite a few people along the way who really struggle with that work-life balance in sports, whether it's during the season or whether it's in the off season. So, what are some of the things that you do to make sure that you keep a real positive work-life balance?
Yeah, I think if you talk to my boss, Josh, or any rep asks, hey, how does Joey do it? Josh would definitely tell you that this is the thing I struggle with the most. It's really hard as a salesperson to put your phone down when you need, especially, we just talked about catering to the client. Well, it's hard to cater to that client if I don't have my phone with me, or if I'm not responding to my emails at home. So it's definitely tough. And it's funny, I tell my wife all the time, when I was a seasonal or inside sales guy here at the Titans, hey, just wait till I'm full time, then the hours won't be so bad. I can relax a little bit. And then when I was full time, I told her, don't worry, I'm going to get promoted eventually, and I'll be able to relax, and so on and so forth. And that is still yet to happen. But what you can do is, when you're home, appreciate the time that you are home with your wife, your dog, your friends and family. And learn that you can put your phone down for an hour. You can go for a walk with your dog, relax a little bit. And I'll say that it's even more crucial to do that, not just for the people around you, but yourself, and burnout. Burnout's a big deal in sales. I hit at least one burnout spree a year where for a week I'm like, I want nothing to do with this. But I get through it because I go home and I just put the phone away, or I'll go on a weekend trip.
And it's important to be able to admit that, right? Like, I think, sometimes reps seek this ideal world where, they get to be in sports and they get to be successful at sales all the time, and that's beautiful and amazing. But the reality of that isn't true. And so being honest with yourself in those times of struggle and difficulty, a lot of times those are the ways to get past it the easiest, is being honest with yourself about it and not trying to hide it or lie. And sometimes it's not even the worst idea to be like, in your case, hey Josh, I don't know if this is going to be my week when it comes to being on the phones. I'm challenged here. I need a little patience to be able to make sure. I promise I'll do some things behind the scenes, but if you see my call numbers lagging this week, it's because I want to strangle everyone I talk to.
No, I mean, absolutely. And it doesn't make you any less good of a salesman if you know that you hit a burnout streak, once a year. Like, I think that's good that you're recognizing that you need that separation, that break. And honestly, when you take that break, you come back more refreshed 9 times out of 10, ready to hit the ground running, which is huge. And, another part of that, we've talked about family a lot. I know family is really important to you. If my wife wasn't as supportive as she is, I don't know how, I could work in sports. The hours are tough, but, we got married last year on the honeymoon. I actually made a handful of sales. And, people think, oh, wow, you're crazy. But she was really supportive, cheering me on the entire time. It didn't take much, to send an email and put my phone away. And she didn't mind, and I appreciate having a good partner like her that supports me. And I think everybody in sports needs to know that, you have to, the person that you're with, partner or, your relationship, you need to give them a heads up that that's what they're looking for. Like, long-term hours are going to be tough in any sports job.
Yes, there's no doubt about it. And, finding those people and if you love being in the sports profession, don't be afraid to seek out that person that's comfortable with it, because that person could be a good person for you in the real world, but if that doesn't marry with what you've got to do 8 hours a day, it's going to create some challenges and it's going to create some problems. And that just isn't that isn't just a wife thing. It's a friends thing too, right?
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
for us, I think it's a friends thing too. Be surrounded by people who may understand that come the season, they may not hear from you too much for 4 months, but that we can have that conversation the next time that we talk, and it's like we haven't missed a beat.
Yeah, spot on. You need that group of people that reinforce, your passion for sports, for sure.
Absolutely. And so I think that's a good transition point to my last question for everyone I talk to. So what drives you?
Man, this is a really short, simple answer, but Brett, honestly, I just want to be the best. I want to be the best salesman for the Titans. I want to be the best salesman for my family. I want to be the best salesman in the sport industry. I want people to think of sales and the right way to do things, or when they're trying to think of a good sales guy they can talk to and ask questions to, they think of Joey with the Titans, for sure.
First of all, I love that answer. And I think, I think the people that have the longest, most wordy answers are usually the ones that aren't super driven. I think you find when you see the people that are the most driven, they have short, concise answers. And I think the answer you give is one that a lot of people want to say, but one of the challenges is, how do you benchmark yourself towards that? Because obviously being the best is awesome, but everyone's selling something different in sports. Even if you're selling the same sport, you're selling different things. So when it comes to you personally, how do you benchmark yourself against that?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, obviously, it's easy to just look at your numbers and know which way you're trending. So I do want to see small improvements in every different category, whether it's, partial plans, season tickets, appointments, seat visits. I want to see improvement there. But, leadership-wise, I want to see improvement. Am I talking to all of our inside sales guys on a daily basis? Do I know where they went to school, what their family looks like, how many brothers, sisters they have? There's all kinds of little goals you can set for yourself that point you up, that point you in the right direction of being the best. And I just try and give myself those challenges on a weekly, daily basis.
That's awesome. Well, listen, Joey, I certainly appreciate it. And oh my gosh, this is awesome. If you're a sales rep and you haven't taken or written down at least 40 things from this fun conversation, I know I've got a bunch of notes here. So I certainly appreciate it and look forward to continuing to watch your success.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. I'm definitely honored to be on here again. For all those reps out there, it's really hard to find a place where you can go and learn directly about season ticket sales or group sales. Brett's website is where you do that. Follow him on Twitter. And at the same time, go to other top reps in the industry and ask them questions. I've hopped on calls with other reps. I love to do that and share. So don't be shy. Reach out to these people.
Absolutely. And I'll throw your email on this just in case anybody wants to. Is that cool?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Brett.